Hi, I'm Dr. Ebony Stone, and this is the Black Woman in the Corner Office. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Black Woman in the Corner Office. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Stone, executive leadership coach and author. And today I have another phenomenal woman who is joining us. But before we get to talk to Lisa, I am going to ask you, if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on any other platform, make sure you download and share with your friends so you don't miss any of these jewels when we drop these episodes regularly. All right, so let's get into it. My guest today is Lisa Bailey, and Lisa is the owner of Triple M, which stands for Money Management Matters. And she helps women, I love this, she helps women make money, save money, and protect their money. She helps motivate and inspire to think more towards establishing a strong financial foundation and a stronger financial future. And I'll tell you something that I just learned about Lisa today, which I think is extraordinary, especially knowing who I am. She is a five-time author, and we'll get into that a little later and share some of that with you. But without further ado, I want to welcome Lisa Bailey to the show. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello, how you all doing today?
Great, great. Thank you so much for being on the show. We are going to spend some time today getting into Triple M and what you're doing in that space. We want to hear about your books and all the fabulous things you have coming down the pike. But before we get there, one of the things that we're doing this season is sharing stories about journeys that got us to where we are today. And so I'd love to start this conversation with this. Tell me about Lisa way back before you became the Lisa you are today. Starting out in your career, where did you start?
Wow, well, right after high school, I was that very shy, very introverted little girl. Even at 18, we're young. We don't
Yes,
know no better. We out here thinking we grown, making decisions like we know what we doing, but
yes.
really we don't.
I just told my son today. He was like, "Well, Ma, can I get a tattoo?" And I was like, "Baby, your prefrontal cortex ain't even developed. No, you can't make that decision."
Okay. So I'm fresh out of high school, wanting to go to college, but my family was not financially able to send me to college. And then the small town here in Georgia that I grew up in, very small, urban, um, mainly Caucasian town I grew up in, they did not educate us on how to get to college as far as financial aid, scholarships, even loans. We didn't know nothing about it from the school
Okay.
portion. So what I decided to do was I was going to join the military because back in
Okay.
the 80s, it was the commercials out that says we have the GI Bill and we'll
Yes.
help you send you to college. So,
Yes.
my heart was set on going to college. So I, with my grown self, said, I'm joining the Navy. Okay.
Okay.
So I can go to college. So
Okay.
went that route, went the military route, spent 9 years in the Navy when it was only supposed to be 3.5. Okay. But wound up
Hmm.
staying for 9 years. And
How
actually, I
did?
probably would have stayed longer, but I got pregnant, became a single mother. So
Okay.
that
How
brought
how
me
did
back home.
you? I'm sorry to cut you off. Supposed to be 3.5. How we get to the 9? That's 3 times the amount of time. How'd you get to 9?
Well, once you get in there, they almost brainwash you into
Okay.
staying because it's almost like there's nothing for you outside the military. Okay,
Mm,
they build it up that kind of way, like this is the best thing since sliced bread. Ain't no need of you going
okay.
to college because really, the money that they give you is not enough for the full 4 years
Mm,
of college. It's just a portion,
okay.
and they just really hype it up to say that this is you ain't gonna find nothing better.
Okay. Okay.
Again,
I got you.
brainwash.
Okay. Okay.
Because I don't know, back in the 80s, we was in a war like the early 90s,
Mm,
over in Desert Storm and
Desert Storm, yes.
those areas like that. So they really wasn't trying to lose people. They was doing whatever they could do to keep people in. So
Well,
I
let me
wind up
say
being
this.
in.
Thank you for your service.
Oh,
Even though,
thank.
you mentioned that they made it too good to be true, so you didn't leave. But thank you for your service. We
Oh,
appreciate it.
you are so welcome. Um, so yeah, I spent 9.5 years in the Navy as a financial. That's where I really got into the financial industry because I was doing budgeting, I was doing inventorying, logistics, just really working with numbers every single day. And I've always loved numbers. I always loved math, so that was kind of right up my alley. So I was enjoying it. I was
Okay.
working, learning as I worked, made the paycheck, had a place to stay. So I decided just to hang on in there.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so you said you got pregnant and you left the military. I had a guest on, I don't know, a few months ago who said the exact same thing. She was in the military, and when she got pregnant, they gave her the option to, I guess, exit. And so she said, I'm
Hmm.
going to take my baby and go. Thank you very much. So you left the military, and then
Yes,
what happened?
that's exactly right. Because when you're in the military, you have to kind of sign your rights away. Because if
Mm,
a war or something come up and you get called off the war, you got to have something in place for your children. And
okay.
so that ain't what I wanted to do. I wanted to be
Right.
able to see my child and raise my child. So I
Okay.
decided to get on out, and I came
Okay.
back home to Georgia, and just got into the whole looking for a job thing as a single mom. I had to move back in with my mom, and wound up going to a bank. Went to the bank just to open up an account so that I could get my unemployment because we were able to get unemployment for about 6 months or whatever.
Okay.
So at the bank, I applied for a position there because this is back when they had the signs in the windows. Now
Yep.
hiring,
Now hiring. Yes. Yes.
and it was like now hiring for bank tellers. So I applied and I got the job. So
Okay.
worked in banking for 17 years. Okay.
Okay.
Listen, as a single mom, once you get you a good, so we think a good job, we
You keep
hang
that
in
good,
there,
good
right?
job.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So I was in banking for 17 years, rose up the ranks though, again, because I was working with money, working with accounting and things like that, and I loved it. So started out as a teller, went through the customer service manager position, then up to the manager position. And when I got into management, honey, that's when things changed.
Which leads me to my next question.
Yes.
So, perfect segue. As
Hmm.
you are making these transitions in life and you're kind of climbing this ladder, were there obstacles that you came up against? And it sounds like there were.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Banking is one of those industries. It's all about the sales. It's all about the sales. You had to make certain amount of sales every day. You have to ask every customer, if they want to open a checking, want to open a savings, want a
Hmm.
credit card, want a
Hmm.
home loan, things like this. So it's very stressful trying to keep these parameters or, maintain the goals and things like that.
Hmm.
So if you don't get the goals, then they start threatening you, with
Hmm.
downgrades or threatening you, right? Where they write you up, until you get the goals. And it just kind of made me feel like I wasn't doing a good job. I wasn't doing my job, and I didn't like the feeling of being threatened. So
Right.
I
And
worked
and it's
harder.
It's clear that doesn't work, so I won't name the bank here in the last couple of years. But there
Hmm.
was a bank that just got in trouble
Hmm.
for people trying to meet those numbers, and because they
Yes.
needed to meet those numbers, they were
Yes.
forging accounts and things of that nature just
Exactly.
to avoid, like you were saying, the threats and the losing jobs and all of that. So clearly, it doesn't
Absolutely.
work. So banks, if you're listening, stop it. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they are much better at it now. But
Yeah.
yeah, we talking about the 90s and the early 2000s. It was a
Mm.
real thing. So at that point, as I was rising up the ranks, as I got into management, it even became even more stressful because when my tellers couldn't make the numbers, and I couldn't make the numbers, then I'd have it kind of roll downhill. So
Yeah.
when I got written up, then I would have to write them up, when they wasn't
Mm.
making the numbers. And we had a very small bank. I worked for a community bank, and
Okay.
we didn't get a lot of customer traffic. So that was another issue. They expected me to go out into the community and bring customers in. So
Okay.
that was another whole issue because I'm, again, a shy person. I'm introverted. So I'm not the one
Mm.
just to go out to a stranger and say, "Hey, where you do your
Mm.
banking at?"
Yeah. Come on in. Let me handle your finances for you. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So that was very, very stressful for me. And yeah, and then we got into another whole thing about advancements and what you had to do to advance and to get raises in the job. And I ran
Okay.
into an obstacle there. Being
Okay.
the only African American woman in my bank. Yeah, I had a racial issue that I had to deal with that as well. So
Okay.
I went through a lot in the banking industry, but thanks be to God, I made it through. And once I got through that, that's when I decided to pivot to another industry.
Okay. So you spent 17 years in banking,
Yeah.
and then what industry did you go to?
I went into credit analysis at the same time, life insurance. So it was
Okay.
like two different things at the same time because I was having personal issues at home and then I was dealing with my career at the bank. And it was almost like God just made it parallel thing where I transitioned to a credit analysis position at another company, which got me
Okay.
out of banking. And then I also went into life insurance and financial education from my personal experiences that I was going through.
Okay. So would you say, so you've got military experience in the financial industry, then you move into banking, and then now you're doing credit analysis, you mentioned insurance. So you're gathering all of this information along the way, but there are obstacles, right? It still blows my mind, Lisa. I heard you say you're the only African American in your bank
Hmm.
and or in your, yeah, in your bank.
Yeah, at my bank.
And you perhaps were not in an area with African Americans where African Americans were living, but it
Right.
still blows my mind when I hear women say I was the only one, right? We are the
Hmm.
most educated demographic in the
Hmm.
country.
Oh
We
yeah.
have the most experience. It still blows my mind that so many of us walk into situation after situation when we're the only one. We should not be the unicorns. I said this before. We just
Yeah.
should not be the unicorns, but oftentimes we are.
Yeah.
So, would you say, with all of that going on, what would you say was the pivotal moment that made you say, okay, enough is enough? I am going to be this Lisa Bailey that I want to be. I'm going to start building toward this, and I'm going to open money management matters. Was there a pivotal point?
Absolutely. In my personal life, as I was transitioning out of banking, um, my father passed away. My father
Mhm.
got sick one night. I got that dreaded call in the middle of the night that he had been rushed to the hospital. And let me just say, me and my father was not the closest. Okay,
Okay.
he didn't raise me. He was kind of in and out of my life, my whole life.
Okay.
And at this point, we was just casually seeing each other. Every now and then,
Hmm.
maybe holidays. It was like one of them things. So I got the
Okay.
call, and unfortunately, he passed away within 3 days of being in the hospital.
Hmm. I'm
Well,
so sorry.
thank you. And me, I was the oldest daughter. I'm not the only daughter, but I was the oldest daughter that I guess they could call. I got the call, and I was responsible for what to do with his remains.
Mm.
And at that time, that's when I found out my dad didn't have any life insurance. Now he done worked the same job for 40 years. Like we all say, 40, 45 years. He was retired. I don't even know if he had retirement money. If he did, he
Mm.
spent it all. I don't know. I think he was getting Social Security, but that ends when you pass
Right.
away. But he had
Right.
no life insurance. So I had to come up with a solution for this. I was like, well, I'm looking at my own financial situation. And the thing that really um God was telling me was, Lisa, I'm in the financial industry. I'm in banking. I know money. I know savings. I know all these things, but I wasn't practicing it myself.
Mm.
Okay. That's the real sad part about it. And that's what really disturbed me personally, because I didn't have any savings set aside. I had no savings. At this point, I had two small children and my husband, and we had a house and we had the car. So every time that we was making was going towards living,
Yes.
and we were never ever really taught to save first. I was
Mm.
in banking telling other people to save, but I wasn't doing it. I was like, Lord,
Right.
how does that happen? Right.
Right.
So that was the point where I said, something's got to change. Something's not right about this picture. The math ain't mathing. Okay. As
Math
the
ain't mathing.
And then I find out after studying and getting doing some research on this, because I had to find out why my daddy didn't have life insurance. I thought he would be the one, you know, that would have it in place. We
Mm.
automatically think that our parents have it in all together, but 80% does not. Okay,
Right. They
75
don't.
to eighty
Mhm.
percent, especially in the African American culture, because I only found that out after my research. It was like, yeah, like 60% of African Americans do not have life insurance. Matter of fact, we don't even have $1,000 in savings for an emergency situation. Now, let me just tell you, if I did have $1,000, that wasn't going to be enough for a funeral service.
Not at all.
Okay. So I had to
Not
figure
at
out how
all.
to come up with about $7,000, and that was for a cremation. That was to get the body from the hospital to the to the funeral home, and that was to dress him so his family and friends could come and say their final goodbyes for a wake service or a memorial service. And then they cremated him after that, because I didn't.
Mhm.
Because if you get a plot in
I
the
was gonna say
dirt,
yes.
that's a whole nother charge. Okay.
Yes.
Let me just tell you, funeral services is a la carte. Okay,
Yes.
they charge for every little thing, and people don't know that, because
Yes.
people not thinking about their funeral. They're not thinking about dying. We're just thinking about living, and I
Yes.
was the same way. So God told me, listen, this is something you need to do. This is your purpose. That's really when I figured out what my purpose was for learning finances, for being in the financial industry, and going through this battle, through this challenge with my own family. I was to educate other people, other
Mm.
families, try to get people to understand that we cannot wait till the last minute. We can't
No,
wait
you
till
cannot.
something happens and then think we're going to have the money. Because if we're
No.
not saving specifically for funeral services, we're not going to have the money. We might be saving for a house. We might be saving for a car. We might be saving for our children's education. But if death happens to a family member, to a parent, and they don't have life insurance, then guess what? You might have to pull that money from what you're saving for something else for funeral services.
Yes. And other communities are utilizing life insurance not just to pay for burial services or
That's
end
right.
of life services. They are using it as a vehicle
Yep.
for wealth building and generational wealth
That's another whole part that we don't know about, that we're not
building.
educated on. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so, um, your father passing was the catalyst to
Yep.
you starting your business.
Yep.
If you were talking to someone who may find themselves right now, they're listening and they're saying, you know what, Lisa, I'm good. I got a job. I'm good. Things are going well, but I'm
Hmm.
hearing you talk. And if something were to happen to my family member, I don't have the money set aside. If something were to happen to me,
Right.
there's no money set aside for my children. I don't have savings. You know, um, I see myself in your former self. What one piece of advice would you give to them?
The number one thing I would say is we have to acknowledge it. If
Mm.
you're sitting there saying to yourself, yeah, that sounds like something I need to look into, then we need to
Yes,
take action on that. A lot of times people tell me all the time, Lisa, I need to get with you. Lisa, yeah, we ain't got no insurance. I know my mama ain't got no insurance. And they procrastinate. I see them a month later and I say, hey, your mama ready to get this insurance? Girl, I know. I got to get with you. We got to stop procrastinating. Okay, that's the number one advice. If you know you need it in place, let's get it there. And if you think you can't afford it, that's where you really need my help. Because what I'm going to do is look at you and help you look at your finances, just like we would do in the bank. I used to have people come into my office and I would go through their bank statement with them because they don't know why they're in the negative. They
Mm.
don't know why they're getting these overdraft fees. And I have
Yeah.
to sit down with them and say, well, look, you used your debit card right here, right here, right here, right here. And that
Yeah.
stuff adds up.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're looking at it like you living paycheck to paycheck, all your money is going toward your expenses and living, that's what we have to look at it. We have to analyze it. We got to break it down. We got to see where your money is going. And a
Yeah.
lot of us, that's another problem. We don't know where our money's going. We don't live by a budget. We don't live by a money plan. I call it a money plan. We don't write it down. We just go, go, go. We work, 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 and just spend, spend, spend. Instead of taking the time to really look at it and see how we can budget in to make arrangements, move some stuff around, cut back on some things, whatever it takes to get a life insurance policy in place.
Yes. Listen, you know, I budgeting is so important.
Mhm.
I think about my parents, my mother in particular. I think about my grandmother and my grandfather who had 16 children, right? I think
Wow.
about my husband's grandmother because I watched her do this. I watched these women that I'm talking about budget every single penny. And
Mm.
I can tell you that their life was better for it. The things that they were able to accomplish,
Mhm.
I look at it and I say, how in the world did my mom do this with the money that she had? I now
Mhm.
as an adult, I know how much money my mom was making. I know what
Mhm.
she was providing to us. And it doesn't seem possible or even feasible,
Right.
but budgeting is essential
Mhm.
in being a good steward.
Mm.
And God
Yes.
tells us that we have to be a good steward of what He gives to us, and
Absolutely.
He will provide the rest, right? And so
Absolutely.
I think, from a spiritual perspective, people don't look at budgeting that way, but I think even from a spiritual perspective, budgeting is a part of that stewardship of what
Yes.
God has provided.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it takes some discipline. A lot of things that I have found it is in us is we do not want to be disciplined in our spending or in the budget process. Um, it's just like we are more disciplined in going to work every day. We wake up, we brush our teeth, we take a bath, we get our clothes on, and we go into these corporate offices, but we don't take that same discipline and, like you said, stewardship to sit down with our money, spend some time with it, and write out a budget and adhere to it.
Yeah,
When you mention your grandmother or your mother, back in their day, it wasn't as many distractions, I don't think, is the reason why they've done better than we are. Now
yeah,
we're in a I want it now society, that
yeah,
microwave society. Because
yeah,
and then we got the social media that don't make it any better. It makes it worse because we see other people having things, having material things, got the cars and the luxury items, and we want it. And we want it
right,
right now. We don't
right.
want to wait for it. We don't want to save for it. We don't want to be disciplined for it.
Yep.
So
And
that has really discouraged it too. And with that, we have to be extra, 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 extra disciplined. It is
yeah.
hard for
And
people.
we have to be extra careful. It's
Yeah.
not real, right? A lot of
Right.
times. It's
That's
not
that
real.
mindset too. Yeah.
We see people in these cars and clothes and with these bags, and they're
Yeah.
not, it's not even their stuff, right?
Right.
people present to you on social media what they want you to see,
Yeah,
not reality. But
right.
I also, something I was in a workshop, a financial workshop once, and somebody said something that triggered, and I'm curious as to your thoughts. That right now we have, debit cards and we're swiping or tapping, or not even a debit card. Like I'm tapping my
On
phone
your
to pay
phone
for
now, I
stuff, right?
know, right?
Right? You're tapping your phone. You're
Yes.
not getting your bank statement in the mail. You
Right,
don't have a check register. You're not writing out checks.
right,
And so we're not sitting down with highlighters going through our bank account
right,
like our parents did. I remember my mom, and to this day she does it, and we laugh at it. And so when she sees this, she's gonna laugh. To this day, my mother sits at her table and she writes out checks and she puts them in her bills. Her bills still come to her house, not her
wow.
email, and she puts
Mhm.
a stamp on them and she puts them in the mail.
Ain't that something?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what we
absolutely.
call old school now.
Right, right. But I think there's something to be said about it, right?
Oh,
Because
it
you
is.
start with this $100 and you
Yeah.
subtract two, and then you subtract eight, and then you subtract 10, and then you subtract five more. And when you get
Mhm.
to the bottom, you have a realization
Yeah,
of what is there versus, oh, I'm just gonna tap this, or are they automatically taking the money out of my account, so I'm not seeing it anyway. Those things I think contribute to our lack of discipline.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Um, I often tell people, especially if they come through my coaching program, we're going back to the old school. Okay. We printing out our bank statements because we got to look at it. We got to see it. And if you ain't got it coming in the mail, you're going to have to get on your app. And, I show people, they be like, well, I don't know how to get it. Well, I'm going to show you.
Right, I
Everything
can
is
show you how to
available
do it.
in your app,
Absolutely.
and you just have to get to it. And then if you can't do that, we're gonna go to the bank because the
Yes.
bank is obligated to give us a copy. We just have to ask for it now.
Yes.
But it's old school. We got to look at it. Like you said, we got to highlight it. We got to
Mhm.
see, we got to mentally see where our money is going. And then another thing that I educate on is your mindset. Like you was just
Yeah.
saying, when you see stuff on social media, your mind automatically goes to, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, I
Mhm.
want that. Ooh, I wonder how they got that. That kind of stuff. You got to come to a mindset, like you said, that ain't, I don't even know if that's real or not. They probably ain't paying. You know what I'm saying? You got to think differently about some of the stuff you see, and not just on social media and people, but also advertising. You know,
Yes.
advertisement and marketing is set up for us to buy, buy, buy. We got to
Yes.
switch our brains to not consuming, but to thinking. Do I really
Yes.
need that? Why are they advertising this on the show that I like? They're trying to target me. You almost
Yes.
have to be defensive
Right.
about it because you defending your money, honey. You trying to keep your money from going out to this world of consumership and these big market people, big box people that's just trying to take our money instead of trying to keep the money within your household and save it, invest it, and build on it yourself, like in your own business. That's what I train on that too. Start your own thing. Quit giving your
Yes.
money away.
Yes. Yes. Listen, baby, that algorithm is no joke. That
Yeah.
algorithm will chase you down with everything you think you have to have. I had to
Ain't it
tell
bad?
myself, Ebony, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Stop buying stuff online
Yeah.
just because you saw it. They're targeting you. They know you want it.
Yep.
Stop it. I
Yep.
laugh with my neighbor and I tell her my TikTok cart stays full, but I won't let myself hit the button. It feels good though to add it to the cart, but I won't let myself hit the button.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's that mentality thing. And listen, I was almost glad, like I say, almost glad when they started talking about them tariffs. Cause
Oh,
I'm like, well, I ain't paying no more than I have to. So I got off of TikTok. The TikTok
right?
talking about they raising prices cause of tariffs. Oh, that's a good for reason for me to start shopping.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. So I've got a couple more questions for
Okay.
you. The first being, someone out there is listening and they're like, hey, I need Lisa in my life. I need to work with Lisa. don't you tell us a little bit about what you have going on? I know you got books out there and speaking engagements and coaching programs and all of those things. Tell us a little bit about all of those things and where we can find
Okay, well, thank you so much for letting me share. The number one thing right now that I have going is my coaching program. I'm really trying to get as many women as I can through this program because this really helps in some of the areas that I was just talking about. It is a 8-week program,
you.
and what we do is we go over the acronym of focus. I'm helping women focus, get back focused on their finances, right? And so the focus is an acronym for what's the F is for face it. Okay, we have to face our finances. Earlier I talked about you have to acknowledge, you have to say, I need to, you know, get my finances in order. I need to manage my money better. I need to save more money. I need to get life insurance for me, my mama, my daddy, my husband, my children. Even your children should be having life insurance, right? So you
Yes.
have to really face what's going on in your financial situation. Face that challenge. And then the O in focus is to organize. The organize is your budgeting process or your money planning process. I show you how to organize your money. Again, how to print out those bank statements, how to get them off your phone, how to highlight, how to see where your money is going. It's so important that you get organized in your money. And then the C is for communication. We're communicating more
Mm.
about our money because this is why I talk about my dad and how I didn't even know my dad didn't have life insurance. We have to communicate with our parents because at this age, the age I was in my 40s, late 40s, early 50s, is when my father died. And that's that generation where our parents are getting older. So they
Mhm.
might be getting into the age of 60, 70, and they might have illnesses, and you never know what's going to happen. And then you also have your own family that you're dealing with. So you pulled in two different directions. But the communication is still something we have to focus on. We got to,
Mhm.
get back to talking about our money around the kitchen table.
Yeah.
When we come over for the holidays, May, we just had Mother's Day. So I kind of was putting out on social media and into my email list while you're visiting with your mom, while y'all eating dinner, just ask her, hey, mama, what do you have in place for your final? What would you
Mhm.
want to do? What pastor do you want, to say your eulogy? Just kind of bring it up in a kind of fun way, not a morbid way, but
Right.
just to say, okay, do you have a life insurance policy? Where is that? Let us know
Yeah.
because, this is the things we got to start talking about. So that's what the C in focus is, communication. And then the U is for understanding, understanding money, how money works. What's the different acronyms in money? The APYs, the APRs, your credit, all the things that we need to know about credit and different saving vehicles. I talk a lot about savings. And like you were saying, life insurance is not just for death benefit. You can get long-term care in there. You can have a whole life policy. You can have an IUL where you can just put money in there and save for the future. Annuities. It's so many things. So we
Right.
really go deep diving into understanding money and understanding how money works. And then the S and focus is your success. You're going to see yourself successful. What dreams do you have? What goals do you have? Where do you want to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? So
Yeah.
we're going to be setting goals and writing all that out. And at the end of the program, you'll have kind of like a booklet of what we've been through in each step of the way. So that's my coaching program. I'm very fond of it. I'm hoping and praying that I can get more people into it because it is new. I just started at the beginning of this year. I've had
Okay.
two individuals go through it so far and got some very favorable reviews from that. So
Okay.
I'm doing speaking engagements now as well because the Lord was telling me really to tell my story more, tell the story more, and then I would get more people attracted and more people would know what I went through and how I don't want them to go through the same thing I went through. And
And
so,
it eliminates the shame, Lisa. There are so many people out there, I think earlier you said 60%
Oh yeah.
of us don't have life insurance, so you are not alone. But when you share your story, it puts the guard down for other
Yeah.
people, and they can say, "Okay, Lisa went through it. She got through it. She's willing to share. Let me touch base with Lisa. Let me go ahead and face the fact that I need to get this together."
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the Lord been telling me. Tell my story. Tell your testimony. So that's what I'm doing with my speaking engagement. So I'm definitely open to, speak to small groups, churches, small business organizations, and I'm really trying to get bigger and bigger. I'm actually going to Bali in June to
Mm,
speak overseas.
I
Yeah,
saw
at a
that.
Wealth Academy conference. So
Yes,
that is super
yes,
exciting. So the Lord has opened up many, many doors for me to speak, and I'm excited about that.
yes,
And I do have my books.
yes.
Like you mentioned, my book is Finding Favor with Your Finances, and that is
Okay.
the favor of God. My business is Christian based. So when we're going through the focus framework, we're going to be talking to some about the Lord, some scriptures of
Yes.
what God is saying about our money and how we should be managing our money. So, and then along with the book is the money planner. Because, like I said, we have
Mm,
to write things down if you can see
yes,
that. But it
yes,
also comes with the money planner, and this is just undated, so you can start it at any time. But each month you can write down all your bills, write down everything, all the money you got coming in, write down all the money you got going out, write down your bills, your balances, when it's going to be paid off. If you got a whole lot of debt, we kind of do the debt snowball, and I kind of go through each debt and how we can get it paid off quicker. And then it's a place in here for your goals. I also have a money affirmation in here. It's a declare and decree that my money provides me options, and then you will have a scripture to go along with it. And so I'm all
yes,
about keeping people motivated about their money, because that's
yes.
one thing that I found in my struggles is I got, you know, kind of sad and depressed about it, for me especially because I'm in the financial industry, and I was like, why I wasn't doing this for myself. I was teaching people at the bank how to do it, but I wasn't doing it. So to motivate myself, I really got through it was the scripture, was God, and reading scripture and staying motivated. And then the last book I had written is The Favor Factor, and this is just kind of like a follow up from the Finding Favor in Your Finances, and this is prayers, okay? Because I tell people all the
Okay.
time, you got to pray over your money.
Yeah.
Every dime you get, you need to ask the Lord for favor in that money
Yes.
to multiply that money. And
Yes.
so this is 50 prayers in here of how to
Okay.
request and pray for favor, not only in your money, but in every area of your life.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. And where can they find you? Where
Oh,
can our listeners find you?
I'm on social media at
Okay.
I'm on Facebook at Lisa Stringer Bailey, and my business Triple M Money Management Matters. But if you all want to take down this website, we can stay connected via email. It
Okay.
is
And we'll make sure that it is in our recap and in our description for people to click on as well. So go ahead
thank
and
you.
give it to us.
Okay, let me make sure I get it right, because
Okay.
sometimes all the F's get me a little tongue twisted. Honey, favor, Lord, give me this favor.
Yes.
Financial favor. Let's see. Make sure I get it right for y'all. I'm gonna have to memorize it.
Listen, our brains can only do
Ooh,
so much,
honey. Okay.
right? Listen, you got all these passwords you got to remember. All this.
Ain't
Listen,
that the truth?
my son gets so irritated with me. He will say, Ma, you have to." What is he tells me to use a password keeper or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
one of them
guess
little systems that keep all your passwords in one place.
apparently I'm old school because I don't want all my passwords in one place. And
Uh,
so he fusses at me all the time. He's like, "It's taking forever." And I'm like, "I got 10,000 passwords. Give me a minute." So listen, I understand. I
I know.
understand.
I have to write down everything, and thank God for the notes on my phone, honey. I use this notepad all the time.
Yes,
So
yes.
the website is favorinyourfinances.com.
favorinyourfinances.com.
Yep. If you go to that
Great.
website, you will get a free ebook download. It's a free download, and it's an ebook of 20 tips, financial tips to get you to financial favor. Okay?
I love it. I love it. All
And
right.
it's there's 20 scriptures. Now, I don't know if y'all know, but it's 2,300 scriptures in the Bible that talks about money.
Oh, wow.
So that
No, I
lets you
did not
know
know that.
that
It's
money
important.
is very important to God. And
Yes.
it got to be important to us. And I tell people all the time, if you put God first in your money, you're gonna find favor. But you
Yes.
got to be obedient to the word, to the
Yes.
scripture, because there's specific scriptures in there that tell us what to do with our money.
And that's what we got to
But
do with it.
we got to do it. It's steps you got to take. And you know,
Yes. All right. One last question. It's my fun question that I'm asking all my guests this year. I think I'll change the question in 2026. But for 2025, here's the
uh-huh.
question. Let's say someone approaches you and says, Lisa, we want to make a movie about your life. What would the title of that movie be, and who would play you?
Ooh, oh my goodness, what would the title be? Oh my gosh. I think my life has really been gosh, how can I say this? My life has been growing in God, growing in God, growing in God. I grew up in the church, but I didn't really get a relationship with God until I started going through some of my financial challenges,
Okay.
right? Um and when I wrote my first book collaboration, God brought back to my remembrance of some of the times of my childhood because the book
Mm,
was something about you have no idea the hell I've been through. It's
mm,
my first book collaboration. It was 20 other women. So I wrote one chapter. And my chapter was about growing up and some of the things I went through as a child. And God brought back to my remembrance um how I used to play by myself because it was just me and my grandmother. My grandmother raised me until she passed away. And I used to play by myself all the time. And I would
mm,
play banker. I would play business.
mm.
I always had the notion of a business, even as a little child. But when I got as an adult, I didn't even think about my business until after I went through the banking and my father dying. And then that's when the business came up. I was like, God, anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it would have to be something about my relationship with God and how God brought me through a lot of things that I went through as a child. Uh, Many things I don't even want to get into, but a lot of
Yeah.
bad things. And
Okay.
all I can say is, but God is the only reason that I have not lost my mind. Okay. Not
Mm,
winded up in foster care somewhere or, you know, some of the things that other women go through and
yeah.
they wind up in a whole different situation. So
Yeah.
my situation, it had to be but God. It was I feel like God's favorite. You know, that's one of the things me and one of my best friends say we Jesus' favorite because
Okay.
Jesus has brought us through so many things. And when I was writing my book, Finding Favor in Your Finances, Jesus gave me that. He said,
Yes.
favor, you my
Yes.
favorite.
Yes.
I have showed you favor time and time again all through
Yes.
your life. So
Okay.
I was
So
like,
we,
well, thank you, Lord.
yes. Are we going with grow with God, or are we going with but God? I heard a couple titles in there.
Ooh, girl. But God.
But God.
But
All
God.
right. But God. The Lisa
If it
Stringer
had
Bailey
not
story.
been for the goodness. Ooh.
Mm, I hear you. I hear you. Well, Lisa,
Uh,
listen.
oh, and
Thank
who gonna
you.
play me? Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
who's gonna play
My
you?
one of my favorite actresses. I love her. And I always said if I had a little girl, I was gonna name her Aaliyah. What's that actress name that played in we the Beverly the Good Lord. With Will Smith, with the family, and he would live with his uncle.
Oh, Bel Air, the Fresh
Fresh
Prince of
Prince
Bel
of
Air.
Bel Air. Yeah, the young lady that played in that, the middle child. I think her name was Aaliyah.
Ashley. She played
Yeah, she
Ashley
played
Ashley Banks.
Ashley. What's her real name?
Um,
I love her.
Tatiana.
Yeah,
Tatiana Ali.
Tatiana something. I love
Tatiana
that
Ali.
name.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's who
Uh-huh.
would
Uh-huh.
play you.
That's who would I would want to play me because I love her.
Ah.
I love
Yes.
watching her movies on Lifetime. She
On
got a lot of
Lifetime.
movies on Lifetime.
Okay. So if you're listening to us, Tatiana, we need you to play. We need you to play Lisa when the story of her life comes out.
Tatiana Ali. That's it.
Yes. Yes.
I love that
Uh,
name.
But Lisa, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening. Listen,
Thank
I'm
you.
walking away from here knowing that it's time to focus, right?
Mm,
And with
yes.
your finances or even outside of your finances, it's
Hmm.
time to focus and start with the F, right? Just face it.
Yeah.
Whatever it
Absolutely.
is, face it, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here. And to all of my listeners out there, I appreciate you. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any episode. We will leave all of Lisa's information down in the show notes so that you can buy those books. You can connect with her online. You can get in that coaching program so she can help you out with your finances and just stay engaged with Lisa. All right. So until next time, guys, you keep spreading that black girl magic on everything you do. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Good night.